In July 2025, two astronomers stumbled on something that shouldn't exist. A supermassive black hole just sitting in a cloud of gas between two galaxies that had crashed into each other. Not inside either galaxy. Between them, and it wasn't old. It looks like it had just been born. If that's true, it rewrites the story of how black holes form. Okay, so why does that matter? To get there, we need to talk about a problem that's been bugging astronomers for more than a decade now. Pretty much every large galaxy we've ever looked at has a supermassive black hole sitting at its center. Ours does. The Milky Way's is called Sagittarius A. It's about 4 million solar masses, which sounds enormous, but honestly, by black hole standards, it's on the small side. The one at the center of Messier 87? 6.5 billion solar masses? These things are absurdly big. And for a long time, the story of how they got that big seemed pretty straightforward. A big star dies, collapses, leaves behind a small black hole, maybe 10, 20 times the mass of the Sun. That little black hole feeds on gas. It bumps into other black holes during galaxy mergers, and they combine over hundreds of millions of years. It slowly gets bigger and bigger. Eventually, you've got a supermassive black hole. Nice, clean story. One problem, though, when the James Webb Space Telescope came online in 2022, it started finding supermassive black holes where they had absolutely no right to be. Not in our neighborhood of the universe, where you could explain their size with billions of years of growth. No, Webb was finding them in the very early universe. We're talking a few 100 million years after the Big Bang. That's nothing. The universe was barely getting started. The wildest example showed up in early 2024. Roberto Maialino's team at Cambridge pointed Webb at a galaxy called GNZ11. Incredibly distant, its light took 13.4 billion years to get here. What we're seeing is that galaxy as it was 400 million years after the Big Bang, and crammed inside this tiny little galaxy, maybe 100 times smaller than the Milky Way, there's a black hole weighing in at 6 million solar masses. That shouldn't work. 400 million years is not enough time, not even close. There's a speed limit to how fast black holes can eat. It's called the Eddington limit. Go faster than that, and the radiation from all the stuff falling in basically blows the food supply away. It's like trying to drink from a fire hose. The harder you try, the more gets pushed out of reach. The black hole in GNZ11 seems to be eating at 5 times the Eddington rate, which is already extreme, and even that pace can't really account for how massive it is. GNZ11 isn't a one-off either. Webb keeps turning these up. Huge black holes in small, young galaxies, way too big for their age. In 2023, another team used Webb and the Chandra X-ray Observatory to spot one in a galaxy called UHZ1. That one dates to 470 million years after the Big Bang. So something doesn't add up. Either these black holes found a way to grow faster than physics says they should, or, and this is the interesting part, they never started small in the first place. So astronomers have been batting around two ideas. They call them light seeds and heavy seeds. Kind of sounds like a gardening debate, but the stakes are a little higher. Light seeds are the standard model. You start with a dead star, some massive thing 50 or 100 times our sun's mass, burns through its fuel in a few million years, and when it's done, the core caves in. What's left is a black hole, usually 10 to 100 solar masses. Small, but it's a starting point. Now it has to grow. Gas spirals in, forms an accretion disk, and some of that material falls past the event horizon and adds mass. Once in a while, Galaxies crash together and their black holes merge. Slowly, over really long stretches of time, you build up something enormous. We know this works. We can see it happening in galaxies around us today. The issue is just the clock. Before any of this can start, you need stars to form in the first place. And then you need them to live out their lives and die. That eats up tens of millions of years right there. Then the leftover black holes have to find gas, and they can only eat so fast before the Eddington limit kicks in, and they start choking on their own meal. 500 million years after the Big Bang, there just wasn't enough runway for all of that. The math doesn't close. 10 solar masses cannot become 10 million solar masses in that time. Doesn't matter how generous you are with the assumptions. Which brings us to heavy seeds. This idea has been pushed hardest by Priyamvada Natarajan at Yale, along with others. The concept: skip the star entirely. Instead, take a massive cloud of gas and have the whole thing collapse straight into a black hole. No star forms, no supernova. The cloud just falls in on itself and crosses the point of no return. These are called direct collapse black holes. And the appeal is pretty obvious. If your seed is already 100,000 solar masses, you don't need eons of growth. You're most of the way to supermassive right out of the gate. There's a problem with this too, though. Gas clouds don't usually do that. What gas wants to do is cool down, break into smaller clumps, and turn into stars. That's its default setting. For a whole cloud to collapse without fragmenting, you need very specific conditions. The gas has to stay hot and turbulent enough that it can't break apart. In the early universe, where gas was metal-free and strong ultraviolet radiation from nearby stars could keep it warm, maybe those conditions existed. Models say it's plausible, but nobody had ever actually watched it happen. In 2023, Natarajan's group pointed to UHZ1 as possible indirect evidence. The black hole there was way too oversized for its host galaxy, and it showed up too early for the light seed route to explain it. The numbers lined up with heavy seed predictions, but it was still a circumstantial case. UHZ1 was so far away and so faint that there wasn't much detail to work with. What astronomers really wanted was to catch a direct collapse black hole in the act, not just see the aftermath, see the thing forming somewhere close enough to actually study. In July 2025, that might be exactly what turned up. Pieter van Dokkum at Yale, Gabriel Brammer at the University of Copenhagen. They were going through images from one of Webb's biggest survey programs, Cosmos. This thing spent 255 hours scanning the sky and catalogued over 800,000 galaxies. It's a massive data set, all publicly available. While sifting through it, they spotted something odd. A galaxy that didn't look right. 2 compact red nuclei, each wrapped in a ring of stars and gas, the whole structure shaped like a figure 8, like the infinity symbol. So they called it the Infinity Galaxy. The colors in the Webb image already tell you a lot. Those 2 nuclei glow deep red in the infrared, packed with old stars. The rings around them, a younger material, swept outward, and between the nuclei, there's this big cloud of ionized hydrogen, glowing green, atoms stripped of their electrons by something hot and energetic at the center. The shape gave away the backstory. 2 disk galaxies smashed into each other head-on maybe 50 million years ago. That impact pushed gas outward from each core, creating those ring structures you see in the image. For the rings to look that clean and symmetric, the galaxies had to hit each other almost perfectly face-on. That's rare. But here's where it gets weird. Right there in between the 2 nuclei, sitting in that cloud of ionized gas, was a supermassive black hole. 1 million solar masses, not inside either galaxy, not attached to either nucleus, just there, in the gas, and it was feeding, actively pulling material in, Van Dokkum put it bluntly. Everything about this galaxy is unusual. Not only does it look strange, but it has this supermassive black hole pulling a lot of material in. The biggest surprise was that the black hole was not in either nucleus. It was in the middle. And the question was, how do we make sense of this? They pulled in everything they could. Chandra X-ray data confirmed the black hole was actively accreting. Radio observations from the Very Large Array showed emissions lined up right at the center of the gas cloud, exactly where Webb saw the infrared glow. Keck Observatory in Hawaii gave them spectroscopic data to pin down the distance. The system sits at a redshift of 1.14. Its light has been traveling 8.3 billion years. Every instrument told the same story. A supermassive black hole sitting where no supermassive black hole belongs. Now, the question, how did it get there? 3 possibilities. 1. It's a runaway. Galaxy mergers can be violent enough to fling a black hole out of its host entirely. So maybe one of these 2 galaxies lost its central black hole during the crash, and it ended up between the 2 nuclei by accident. 2. There's a 3rd galaxy hiding in there. A small dwarf galaxy, too dim for Webb to pick up, carrying its own black hole along for the ride. 3. And this is the wild one. The black hole was born right there, made from the gas itself during the collision. The team came up with a clever way to test this. If the black hole got kicked out of one of the galaxies, it would be screaming through space at a totally different speed than the gas around it. Hundreds, maybe thousands of kilometers per second of difference. You'd see that instantly in the spectral data. But if the black hole formed out of that gas, right there in place, then it should be drifting along with the cloud. Same speed, same direction. Within about 50 kilometers per second, maybe 30 miles per second. If you're born from something, you move with it. Simple as that. Van Dokkum got follow-up time on Webb through a director's discretionary program. New spectra came in. The velocities matched. The black hole is moving with the gas, not flying through it, not passing through on some wild trajectory. Moving with it, within that tight window. That pretty much kills the runaway idea. And the follow-up had another surprise. Both galaxy nuclei turned out to have their own active supermassive black holes too. So the Infinity Galaxy has 3 black holes, all actively feeding. 2 old ones, one in each original galaxy, and a 3rd sitting in between that looks like it formed recently from the compressed gas. Here's what seems to have happened. When these 2 galaxies plowed through each other, the gas between their cores got slammed together and compressed into a dense, chaotic knot. Normally, when you compress gas, it cools down, breaks into pieces, and those pieces become stars. That's how star formation works everywhere. But this collision was so violent that the turbulence and heat actually kept the gas from fragmenting. It couldn't cool. It couldn't break apart. The whole mass just caved in on itself and became a black hole. That's direct collapse. Not under the pristine metal-free conditions of the early universe that theorists always talked about, but in a messy, recent galaxy collision where raw turbulence and pressure did the same job. The team's paper puts it like this in this formation channel: turbulence and thermal pressure, rather than the absence of metals, prevent fragmentation and star formation. A completely new pathway to building a supermassive black hole. If they're right, and it's still an if, this is the first time anyone has actually caught direct collapse in action, not inferred from some X-ray blob billions of light years away. studied with multiple telescopes across multiple wavelengths, with a real physical explanation for how the gas collapsed. And here's the part that gets exciting. If direct collapse can happen in a galaxy collision 8.3 billion light-years away, in relatively modern cosmic conditions, it absolutely could have happened in the early universe, where things were way more extreme. More gas, more collisions, higher densities everywhere. If this works here, the early universe would have been churning these things out. That could be the answer to what Webb keeps finding. All those impossibly massive black holes showing up a few 100 million years after the Big Bang. Maybe they didn't spend billions of years slowly growing from dead stars. Maybe they just appeared. Born big, formed in the violent collisions and gas collapses that were everywhere in the early cosmos. Natarajan, who worked on the follow-up study and has been building the case for direct collapse for years, said it pretty plainly. What is exciting about the Infinity Galaxy is that it hints that nature likely makes black holes via direct collapse throughout cosmic time. Not just in the early universe, not just under perfect conditions, throughout cosmic time. Now, the researchers are being careful here, and they should be. Their paper calls this a candidate, not confirmed. They need more data on the gas composition, the turbulence levels, and whether star formation really is being suppressed in the collision zone. But the evidence lines up. The velocity match, the position between the nuclei, the gas cloud, X-ray, and radio confirmation of active feeding. 3 independent black holes in one system, all of it pointing the same way. Van Dokkum's wording is measured. We can't say definitively that we found a direct collapse black hole, he said. But we can say that these new data strengthen the case that we're seeing a newborn black hole, while eliminating some of the competing explanations. Cosmos Webb has data on more than 800,000 galaxies. The Infinity Galaxy got noticed because 2 guys went browsing through a public dataset looking for odd things. You have to wonder, what else is sitting in those images that nobody's looked at yet? The team is still working through deeper spectra, checking metal content, gas density, how turbulent the collision zone actually is. Down the line, they'll want to know if this black hole is growing fast enough to someday hit the billion solar mass range that Webb sees in the ancient universe. But for now, here's what we've got. A galaxy shaped like the infinity symbol. A black hole floating where it shouldn't be. And the best evidence we've ever had that some of the most powerful objects in the universe aren't grown over billions of years. They're born all at once, from collapsing gas and raw gravitational force. If you enjoyed this, subscribe for more deep dives into the cosmos.